go, guys. So it is the Great Blizzard of 2016, apparently. Personally, I don't have too much snow, but it is just ice, and I have not been able to leave my house and go to work in 2 days, and so I'm kind of losing my mind. Just a little bit of background. I am a horror researcher, which means that I basically just watch horror movies with a notepad and write down nerdy ideas about psychoanalysis. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2 days, which, you know, does affect you when you're alone in your house for 2 days. Also, this place was built in the 1970s, which is the golden era of horror movies. And the guy who built it very quickly killed himself afterwards. But, you know, so far, no ghosts. Hoping that stays the way it is right now. Peace, guy. So, today, of course, with the snow and with my cabin fever, I resorted to my all-time favorite psychoanalytic horror movie, The Shining. And I will give you all a little background on that as I go through this. But, you know, as I was taking notes, I suddenly just started noticing Shelley Duvall's makeup and how perfectly it is done throughout this movie. Not like, oh, she looks gorgeous, but like, it is so good at showing like her emotional state throughout the movie. And also she just has such an interesting face. So I figured, since I have all day and I'm drinking Chardonnay at 11:30 in the morning, I might as well just go for it and do a little tutorial on Shelley Duvall throughout the progression of The Shining. And while I'm doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about all the crazy theories and psychoanalytical bullshit that I have come across in my research on it. So I will get everything set up and then I will see y'all on the flip side. Bye. Okay guys, so we're gonna get started, and currently playing Midnight, the Stars and You, which is the final song in the movie where it closes in on him at the New Year's Eve celebration, and I just love this song. Also, anybody who listens to the last podcast on the left, this is the last song that they play, and I'm obsessed with that podcast. If you're a horror fan, I highly suggest hopping on board. Also, the Facebook group is hilarious. So, you know, Shelley Duvall, very pale, very beautiful, light skin, which turns down just a little bit. So I'm going to start with just a really light base. Obviously, she's not made up during this movie, so I'm just going with a tinted moisturizer. I'm using the NARS Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer, and my color is light 0, because I'm also very pale. So I'm just going to apply this like I would any other moisturizer, and I've got a little mirror down here just so I'm going to look at. Okay, so that gives you just a little bit of a base, you know, it still has all the red patches and everything coming through, which is fine for this, and actually good for this. Because, you know, I know we all, before we start our day, want to go out looking like Shelley Duvall in The Shining, so I'm so glad you're all watching this for that. So, from there, we're going to move on to just a little bit of highlighting and a little bit of blush and a lot of contour. Because she has a really pink kind of face, and her skin tone is very pink, which I think helps with that kind of like angelic look. And then they also really cool her down with lighting when things get really dark. Like when she comes up to the typewriter, she's in completely cool lighting, and so she almost turns blue. And it's a huge contrast with the amount of pink that she has in her face at the very beginning. And so I'm going to start out with just a pretty pink blush, and I'm just going to use, I use the Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, and this is going to be the Luminous Flush shade, and I'm just going to use that in a really natural way, kind of starting kind of back here. I really want to emphasize the cheekbones, because, you know, Shelley Duvall has the greatest cheekbones of all time. I think she's absolutely gorgeous. I know some people think that she looks like she's been on meth for 10 years, but I think she's gorgeous. And if you actually want to see her with a good makeup look that really shows off her face, I would suggest seeing Three Women, which is her and Sissy Spacek, and it's from around the same time, if not slightly earlier, because I think The Shining was either 79 or 81, so it was like right on the cusp, but Three Women is very 70s, and she's got just this great like blue eyeshadow, and her hair is just like perfectly shag bobbed, and it's just amazing. So she's really, I mean, she's a style icon, so this is not doing her justice, but you know, I just think it's entertaining. Okay, so again, keeping with all of the structure in her face. I want to do a lot of highlighting right on my cheekbone, because, you know, I can only get so close to looking like her, but might as well go with it. So for this, I'm using a really shiny highlighter. It is the Iridescent Light from the Ambient Lighting Powder, and I love this stuff just for every day because it is like opalescent and beautiful and just absolutely hits the light without being too shimmery. I don't even know if y'all can see this. I've got a little bit. I'm struggling a little bit with lighting just because it is so bright outside with all the snow. So we'll kind of see how this works out. Okay, and then typically I would say go in with some concealer under your eyes, but we're not going to do that today because she's exhausted and she's not covering up anything under her eyes. But what we are going to do is kind of emphasize the glow that she gets around here. So I'm going to go back to this Ambient Lighting Powder, and I'm going to use this shade, which is Dim Light. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to go in kind of along my nose, really thin out the nose in any way you can. We're going to go in with some contouring too, which is going to help with that. So go in and kind of flatten out this part of your face. So what you're doing, and this is like rule number 1 with makeup, is anything you want to bring forward, you lighten. Anything you want to bring recede, you darken. So in order to get that kind of flat kind of effect that she has right here, I'm just going in with some of this. And it's not too dramatic, but you know. I'm going to put just a little bit on my nose just because I always do that. And then she's got, you know, her great little Cupid's bow right here. Okay, so now we're going to go for the real dramatic stuff that's going to really be transforming. And we're going to probably go back and correct some of that because, you know, I'm not working with a huge system. I'm just kind of going. So I'm going to work with a more orange tinted contour than I usually would. A lot of the colors that she's wearing are kind of these peachy orangey colors as opposed to like the kind of taupey colors that we use now. It's really typical of the 70s to have like more of a peachy undertone, which actually really became popular in the 60s. But as far as contouring and blush, and her lipstick is also the same peach color, you want to stick with something a little bit more orange. So I'm going to use this, which is part of the Hourglass Illume Bronze Light Duo. And I'm going to do a really harsh contour because, like I said, she has this gorgeous cheekbones, and then she has these cheeks that just go in for days. And so, and that's also part of it too, is like her looking really desperate and, you know, like she's been starving in there for weeks and, you know, just really amping up the drama. So I'm going to start out with a scary amount of bronzer right here. It's scary for me because I don't typically use bronzer. And really kind of work it down and really emphasize these cheeks. And we're going to blend all of this out and make it not look as insane in a minute. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. And to me, like, honestly, this is like how I feel when I'm normally contouring. Like, I just cannot do it in a way that makes me feel appealing. Okay. So you can see there's just that little effect. And then I'm also going to go in under my jawline. I'm actually going to go on the brush for that. That's pretty, isn't it? Isn't that gorgeous? Don't we all look great? Okay. So yeah, work this around the jaw. You really just want to like chisel yourself down to nothing. It's really the effect that we're going for here. And obviously this is like costuming makeup. This is not everyday kind of thing. Although, you know, I'll probably just wind up wearing this the rest of the day. So I'm going to blend a little bit just to get that, and then I'm going to use a little bit more, you know, because more is more in this situation, is what I say. So yeah, I'm going to get that really contoured situation. She's a Kim Kardashian before they're Kim Kardashians. I hate that Kim Kardashian's like the only person that we associate with contouring. Like, we've been doing this forever, guys. Like, I know that she's a queen, but like, come on. This is the first time we've ever contoured in the history of makeup. Okay, so now that we've kind of thinned out our faces, as thin as my face can get, I have the roundest face of all time. I'm actually gonna go in and do my nose a little bit too. She has a pretty thin nose. Not that I don't, but you know, like I said, you want to chisel out as much as you possibly can. And I probably look insane. Like I said, this is 11:30 in the morning. I'm drinking Chardonnay and I'm just doing this for fun. So we'll see how this winds up. But I am sure I am not the only one right now. And I'm sure if you're watching this, that you're also stranded in your house. And if it is like, if you're further north than I am, I'm in North Carolina, so, and I'm in eastern North Carolina. So it's, you know, it's the first snow we've had, but it's like nothing compared to what other people are getting. And my boyfriend's actually up in Asheville, which is up in the mountains, and they have like 10 inches of snow, and we have like 2. So I really have nothing to complain about, but I'm still bored out of my mind, obviously. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm actually going to go in with a little bit of a darker color for contour, because like I just feel like I can't get enough contour in this look, you know? Just go for it. So I'm going to go back to my Hourglass powders, and I'm going to use the Mood Exposure, no, I'm sorry, the Luminous Bronze Light. They have these set up, not like a chocolate bar, but like, you know what I mean? Where like you read the back, and it's kind of reversed from what it actually is. So that's confusing, but I promise I'll figure it out for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to go in and do just a little bit of a more defined contour there. Oh yeah, that's good. That's what we want. That right there. So I'm basically just wearing a shit ton of bronzer. But, you know, I'm so pale, maybe it doesn't matter. Or maybe I look insane. We'll see. We'll see if I look insane or not. Okay, so now that we have hollowed out our faces and look like zombies, actually I could hollow out a little bit more on this side, I think. Y'all are probably watching like, what the hell are you doing? But it's okay, it's having fun. So yeah, I'm gonna hollow out. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, I am now hollowed out. I now feel confident about the amount of hollowness that is happening on my face. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the eyes, which are, of course, the most important part of a Shelley Duvall look. She has the most gorgeous eye sockets, and also, because I'm doing this on my couch, I'm holding this towel for, you know, beautiful situations like this. My desk is my vanity, and so I just kind of keep this around for stuff like that, and then I, you know, try to keep it as clean as possible, but, you know, we're like day 3 on this. It's okay. Okay, so like I was saying, Shelley Duvall has the most gorgeous eye sockets. Like her eyes are literally just round, and it's just incredible. And so we're gonna try our best to go for a look like that. And this is actually something really new for me. I never really try to get my crease like that. And it's also honestly something where like if you're also going back and doing like an Audrey Hepburn look, they actually have kind of very similar eyes. I mean, like Shelley Duvall's are a little bit more like bulging than Audrey Hepburn's, but they have that same like moon-like look to them. So this is something that you could tone down and use for something like that. So we're gonna do an all-over base. I'm using just the Naked 3 palette because like we're gonna stick with nudes here. I mean, she's not supposed to look like she's wearing makeup. I mean, you know, why would she? And so I'm gonna stick with kind of these nudie taupe kind of colors, and I'm gonna start with, I think it should be Strange, which is this, no, I'm sorry, it should be Limit, which is this kind of matte flesh color. It's a little bit more taupey. And the reason I say should be is because I dropped this when I first got it, and they completely shattered and went everywhere. So I no longer know what the real names are. And I need to really just like print out something that's going to tell me so that I can tell you guys what I'm actually using. Okay, so we're going to do a really rounded shape here. Really kind of overdraw, like above your crease. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do it on the other eye. And also, please excuse my super dry lips. I'm sure they're really pretty to look at, but, you know, I have not exfoliated them today. And also, sorry, Shelley Duvall's getting chased around by a maniacal madman through her house. That reminds me, I promised y'all that I would say something about my research on this. And really, to say my research is kind of presumptuous. I actually haven't done a whole lot of writing on it because other people have done a lot of really great writing on it. And especially if you see the documentary Room 237, I believe. I know if I'm getting that wrong, I'm the worst horror fan of all time, but it's got some really good theories just about Kubrick and like his approach. But what I really love to look at with these is more so their cultural context that goes beyond kind of the intention of the director and more towards how they were received, and also kind of the underlying psychological things that go through them. And to me, what's most interesting is the concept of the monstrous feminine, and there's a great book on that. It's just called The Monstrous Feminine, and the author's now completely blanking, but I'll include it in the link below. But it's an amazing book about how the way that we demonize women and the way that women are used in horror, ideas of witches, vampires, and also ideas of castration and penis envy and like all of this stuff that goes back to Freud, which, all of his stuff is bullshit, but it's really important for the way that we've constructed ideas of women in horror and also women just in narratives. And there's a way of looking at The Shining where essentially the little boy serves as an example of feminine intuition, and The Shining itself is an idea of feminine intuition. So it's a very feminine aspect. It's something that's spiritual, which is threatening to the patriarchal symbol of Jack Torrance. And so Jack Torrance serves as kind of this representation of manifest destiny and patriarchy coming in and tearing down the feminine aspects of his society or his like kind of microcosm. And I love watching it for that because there's also a lot of amazing. Okay, I'm gonna go in with what I'm seeing as Nooner. It's a darker matte eyeshadow, but it's basically what you can look at in it. And what Kubrick really does, and this is, something with his intention, is he includes a lot of references to the genocide of the Native Americans. And in that way, Jack Torrance really is kind of the personification of manifest destiny and this idea of masculine overtaking and masculine privilege. And I love watching it from that perspective because really, especially when you take in the race thing with, oh god, I can't remember his name right now, but you obviously know what I'm talking about with the chef who is kind of the only one on the outside trying to get in, and then Jack Torrance, immediately defeats him, and there's this kind of very masculine overtaking kind of quality to that. So, obviously I'm not doing any of this justice, which is why I don't write about it, but there's amazing scholarship on it, and there's amazing scholarship on just the small details that get incorporated into that. And, if you have any interest in any of that, in psychology, just in the psychology of horror, I really encourage you to look into the stuff surrounding The Shining. And, a lot of it is in academic journals, but there's also a lot of really good stuff posted online from people who aren't academics, and I love that. I think it's great when people who aren't in standard academia post things like that, because then people can actually read it. And so that's something that, in the future I really want to work on. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone in with our crease like this, I'm going to go in even darker right along here and just really recede back your crease. But yeah, a lot of my research right now is mainly in the Black Dahlia and kind of the high art implications of her imagery and the imagery that's used to portray her. Saying her imagery really doesn't mean anything. Nobody knows this woman. She doesn't have her own story anymore, and we've really just taken her story and made it our own. And she's also a great example of kind of this monstrous feminine where you have a woman who's a victim turned into this temptress and turned into kind of this evil figure, which, we don't think of her as evil, but when you look at the way that she was portrayed when she died, it's horribly disrespectful. And just, to me, it's crazy that that's how we wanted to frame her, but it's how she's lasted in history. And if you look back on pop culture, it's now how she shows up. If you look at American Horror Story and all this, she's like this vixen, and really she was a woman living alone in LA in the 1940s, and the only way she could get by is by the men who helped her along the way, and one of them wound up killing her. And so that's not her fault. That's the fault of a patriarchy that wouldn't allow her to be independent and live her own life. That's just me, my casual opinion. Okay, so I'm gonna go in, now that I've really receded my socket, and highlight underneath my eyebrows to really bring that out. And then go in, right here, lighten this up a little bit. Great. Okay, and as far as eyebrows go, she does not do anything to her eyebrows. She has really actually very thin, undrawn eyebrows. She actually does nothing to them. So I'm just gonna leave them as is, not really do anything. I might just run a spoolie, like, to kind of mess them up a little bit. So that's the thing, we don't want anything looking polished. You know, this, we don't want that, you know, like it matters. But, you know. Okay, so just to finish up her eye look, one thing that they do to kind of enhance her eyes is put a line of brown right underneath her lower lashes. That also helps to just widen her eyes. And so that's what we're gonna go in and do now. And this is just a generic, just pencil liner from Ulta. So it's the only brown one I have. Great. And kind of bring that up a little bit, but you know, it's a harsh line, but it's subtle because it's brown. When it's on film, of course. Here, it's not subtle at all. Okay. Great. And then just go in with some mascara. Just really, nothing too much. Just one layer. Kind of separate your lashes, define them a little bit. Definitely get your bottom lashes. Because she's got kind of that, her look really throughout the 70s was this kind of baby doll look. She's kind of like this rag doll, especially in her fashion editorials. And so she always had, you know, other than this, she always had big fake eyelashes on top and on bottom, which really showcased her enormous, beautiful brown eyes. So you can go in a little bit right down here. Just to get a little bit of a reference to that. Okay, and then to finish up just our base look for her, I'm just going to use a little bit of a peachy lipstick just on a brush just to get a little bit of that peachiness that she has. And this is, I actually love this color for like a retro shade. This is the Kate Moss liquid lipstick. I'm sorry, obviously not liquid. Lasting Finish by Kate lipstick, and this is a number 12. And I just love it because it's a really orangey coral color, which is, you know, great for retro looks, as I said. So I'm just gonna kind of brush a little bit on, just get a little bit of color. You know, nothing too fussy, because she doesn't look like she's wearing lipstick and anything. It's just kind of this nude peach. Yeah, mess it up a little bit. Okay, so that's her base. This is kind of like her look at the beginning of the movie to kind of get this kind of effortless, motherly kind of look to her, but also kind of playing up her features. And then to kind of work our way forward in that, what they really do is they start reddening her. And so really, honestly, the best way to do this is to take a red lipstick that I'm just going to apply to the back of my hand terrifyingly. And then I'm going to take my foundation brush, which I guess means I'm washing my brushes today. It's about time. I'm going to take just a little bit of that. Just spread it onto my nose. That's the thing, she's got this look like, you know, she just came in from the snow. And I'll do the same thing through here. And you know, if you have a really kind of red blush, this is obviously a great time to use it, but I don't, so I'm just using some red lipstick. And a little bit goes a long way, obviously, just to give that look like you have been running around in the snow after your maniacal husband, you know. the way we all want to look. Just kind of work that up. A little bit there. Yeah, that was good. A little bit like that. Alright. And then you can just work on messing up the hair, looking like we've been chased around. Obviously don't have Shelley Duvall hair, but we can work with that. And I have one more thing, just right back. And with this, you have your final piece in your Shelley Duvall survival kit for getting through the blizzard of 2016. So I hope that this kind of inspires y'all to do something a little insane with your time off and just really enjoy yourself. Watch a good movie. Nerd out. Do your thing. Alright guys, thank you for watching and subscribe. I'm bound to do some more crazy stuff if I stay at my house any longer, so if you want to catch that, feel free to subscribe. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.